Well, if you're around Chelsea anytime soon, and I hope you are because it's a wonderful place to visit, some of the nicest folks in Oklahoma live there, be sure you go by the Totem Pole Park and see a little bit of early Oklahoma history. We have a man here with us right now, David Anderson. He and his wife, Patsy, and in fact, he's the director of Totem Pole Park. His wife runs the gift shop.
Yes.
We're going to show in just a couple of minutes what we're talking about, but this is one of the most unusual structures in all of Oklahoma, isn't it?
I believe so. It's been called one of the premier examples of folk art in the whole United States. So it is very, very strange.
To call it a totem pole is almost a misnomer. It's exactly what you said, folk art. Who did it? Who designed it?
It was built by a man named Ed Galloway. He was born in around 1880. Most of his working career, he taught children in Charles Page Home in Sand Springs. He taught, these were primarily widows, and he taught the boys to build things mostly out of wood. Mm-hmm. And that was his career. He retired in 1935 and moved out to an area around Foyle, between Chelsea and Foyle, and started building a house there. They started building this totem pole in about 1935, 36, somewhere in there. And he would build it about 10 feet a year and completed it in 1948.
And it's not, we're not talking about something made out of wood.
No, it's not.
What's it made of?
It's made out of, the inside is sandstone rock, and he would just pick these up from around the country. I've run on to people who knew him and remembered if he would come out to their farms and just gather rock. And so the superstructure is out of rock, and he would take wet concrete and he would mold these figures. There's over 200 figures in that tall totem pole. It's 70 feet high. He would mold these structures in there and then paint them. We found out, I've actually just found this out through a book that John Woolley has just written about Ed Galloway and the totem pole. But he would go down about a quarter of a mile with a wheelbarrow and get sand out of a creek, wheelbarrow it up, mix a bucket full of concrete, crawl up in this totem pole, lift the concrete up, and form these structures.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
So everything, all of the intricacies that we're about to see on the pole are of his design.
His designs, his carvings, yes.
Well, Dave, if you don't mind, we have a video that I think you're involved in with our own Tim Yoder. And Tim, a very talented young man who works here at Rogers State Public Television full-time, did an outstanding job on a piece, and we're going to run a little bit of it to let the folks at home see what we're talking about from the Chelsea Totem Pole and the park, if you would.
Wow. Standing next to this thing, now you get an idea how big this is.
This is awesome, isn't it? I'll tell you.
How long did it take him to build this?
You know, he started this as one of his earliest pieces of work. He came out here after he retired in 1937. The first thing he built was the house, and he and his wife lived in that house. Then he started this. He started it in 1937, and it was finished in 1948, 11 years.
That's actually a pretty quick amount of time considering what it is.
About 10 foot a year.
The detail on it is incredible. I see so much symbolism in it. I don't know what any of it means, but it's really beautiful.
You know, we have no evidence that he was American Indian, but he really appreciated the Indian culture. And he did this really to honor the American Indian. So there are 200 motifs on this structure, and every one was formed out of wet concrete as he built this thing up. The inside is actually built out of native stone. You can see it inside, but the stone that most of it come from off of this very place. And then he would take wet cement and mold this outside structure and these pictures as he worked up.
So his handprints and his tool marks are everywhere on this.
All over this.
We were just finding out that there is now a fundraiser underway to help with restoration of the totem. Had no idea. First of all, this is what one would call an honorable totem, one that would honor the indigenous people. and he truly was an inspired individual to do
He
it.
was.
Of all the different images that are on there, but it is needs of some tender loving care.
It is. It was restored after his death. It deteriorated. He died in 1962. It deteriorated. Was restored over about a 8-9 year period by a group from Kansas, mostly Kansas Grassroots Association, and that paint now has begun to deteriorate in the top. The lower part, about 16 feet, has been restored. The top is now deteriorating, and what we're concerned is that concrete is beginning to deteriorate. So we've got some artists that are interested in doing this. They have some experience in this. This is on the National Register of Historic Places, so we're obligated to restore it back to its original.
What kind of money are we talking about? How much is
Well,
needed?
we need to raise about another $10,000.
And how much altogether?
Close to, the estimate is about $27,000.
Okay, and you've raised the rest.
We've raised the
need
rest.
to finish it out at 10. What are you doing to raise the money?
Well, a couple of things. We've got a Kickstarter. I don't know if people are familiar with that around here, but this has been advertised on the internet, and people can go in and fund it. There's several venues there. Native American Art, Highway 66 is one of the main attractions on Old Highway 66. But what we've done is taken an individual picture of each of these 200 images on the pole, and we're asking if people would be willing to sponsor the restoration of one of those images.
Great idea.
And if we do that, we will send them a picture of that image with their business, our name on it, and also this is a tax deductible. It's a nonprofit. It's actually owned and operated by the Rogers County Historical Society. So that's a nonprofit group, and it's tax deductible, and you'll have a poster to display in your place of business.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm glad to hear John Woolley authored a book on this, because John is an old friend and a very talented guy.
Yes, he's my neighbor.
Is he really?
I went to school with John.
Well, next time you pass his house, throw a rock, and when he comes out to check on it, tell him I sent you.
Okay, I will.
All right. Now, are there any events going on, any barbecues, anything like that?
There is. We've been having the barbecue in the fall, and we decided to move it this year to June the 20th. It's from 12 to 4. And the reason is the artist will be there. They'll be starting this project about that time. We'll have a large lift there. This thing is 90 foot high, so one of the major expenses is getting the lift equipment that can go that high. They're going to be there. We meet these people. We invite people for its acoustic music. Most of us bluegrass type, gospel, and people just sit around under trees and play music, and it's just a real a relaxing event. People come and
that's
just
like
enjoy.
Something you used to see years ago.
It is.
You know?
It really is.
I remember as a small boy when they'd take me over in Arkansas, and we'd go to decoration.
Yes.
You know, at the cemeteries. What's your chance, if you folks didn't know, that you'd go to an older cemetery in the country and you'd help clean it up. And there'd be picking and grinning, and occasionally a fight or two.
We don't have any of those.
but things, you know, the fried chicken and watermelon, you'd find it everywhere.
Well, we'll have barbecue out there. It's always good.
Tell us when it is.
It's the 20th of June, Saturday, from 12 to 4. Just come and go as you like, listen to the music, meet some of the people. And actually this year, I believe Mr. Galloway's granddaughter and great-granddaughter are going to be there. And they manage the Nelson Buffeteria there in Tulsa.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow, it's funny how things are all interconnected.
It is.
Isn't it?
It really is.
That's great. Dave, I want to thank you for coming in to talk with us and let us know about it. I really wish, and maybe there are there little miniatures of it?
You know, we've been asked that, and we don't have that. Of course, we have pictures and things like that. But that's one thing maybe we ought to.
I'd love to have one on my desk, you know, at home. Because,
Well,
I mean, it's clearly a sign of Oklahoma.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And on the National Registry, my Lord, that'd help raise money right there.
I hope.
David, thank you, my friend, for coming in. And best of luck. Keep us posted on it.
I will. I'll do that.
All right.
Thank you.
We're all out of time. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.